I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's what I'm going to say every time.
I don't have my packet.
Oh, I did.
Did you?
I did, every bit of it.
All right, we'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. We'll start with our roll call. Misty Cottle.
Here.
Anita Lowry.
Here.
Jeff Upton is absent. Jan Throgmorton.
Here.
John Collins. Here. Kira Hungate.
Here.
Don Rollins. Here. Joe Tower.
Here.
Our city attorney is absent tonight. Our clerk is here and the mayor is present. So first item on the agenda is the adoption of our agenda as it was mailed.
I make a motion that we accept adopt the agenda as it was mailed. I'll second it.
Motion is second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next is the approval of our meeting minutes from August 8th. Is there any changes that need to be made there?
I'll make that motion.
Motion.
Minutes as well.
Okay. Kira with a motion, Jan with a second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. So the next part of our meeting is the public forum, in which we invite anyone from the public to address the council. Just bear in mind that we may ask questions and interact back and forth, but we won't take any action on anything during the public discussion. So would anyone like to address the council? Yes, ma'am. Tell us who you are. Somebody might not know.
Paula Cottle, citizen of West Fork. I don't know what else you want to know. You'll be glad to know that I left the house with 3 things to write down. I only got here with 2 of them. So I still don't know what the other one is. One of them is our new library. I know that we're not starting on it yet, but we've been talking around about changing some of it a little bit to where it would be easy for John and them to do their daily work. And we've decided really that the architect probably had not been a librarian. But we've never been able to find out who we needed to contact to make sure that we at least got our 2 cents worth in when it comes time to do that, and maybe be able to get it changed to where it would be better for them in a working environment. So I'm letting you all know today for that, if you would remember that, please. The other thing is, I know...
Can I interrupt you before we move on? Because
Yeah.
I'll forget too if I don't tell you now. So keep in mind, once that project gets started, as soon as we get close to that, I've asked for 2 members from the library board, 2 members from the Friends of the Library, and obviously John, to be a part of that discussion with the library, with the architect.
Okay.
Okay, that way, I don't want the entire groups, because then we're going to get off in the weeds and not get anything accomplished, but I do want the input from those groups, because we need it designed around.
Yeah, we don't want a bunch of them either, with the architect.
Right. So you'll help me with that, because I've got a little pushback.
See, I just tell them, hey guys, this is what we're going to do.
But that is our plan on that, Paula, so that
Okay.
we do get that input.
Appreciate that. The other is, I know that you're doing budgets. We desperately need a building inspector. We've needed one for years, but we have these little, I call them cabins, or whatever you want to, I don't know what you call them, from down here or around, that are nice buildings, but they're considered a portable building. Well, once you set one of those things up, That's not portable any longer. I don't care what you say. 20 years from now, it still will not be a portable building. We need to change our ordinances for one thing that will cover them, because they don't now. We need to charge for them the same way we do a building permit, to where we will have, I mean, you're not going to make an outstanding amount of money, you know, we know that. But it needs to be, if you don't charge for them, you don't have any say-so over where they go. And we have setbacks to which several in town do not meet. And if you don't have a building inspector, you know, these people don't have any way of knowing whether they're meeting the standards or whether they're not. And if I set one up, about 6 months later, you came and told me it didn't meet your standards, and I had it all propped up there nice and neat, I'd tell you, go fly your kite. And and you can't blame the people, but they wouldn't know. And that's the problem, they don't know. And we desperately need one. Not just for that, but for for our normal building stuff. So if you could kind of think about that for your budget. 3, I have no idea.
Question. Are
Okay.
you talking about just the ones that people are living in, or all of them?
All of them.
So you want to charge like a building permit for all of them? Not
Right.
just the ones they're going to live in?
No, I think she's talking about like if someone buys a new storage building to bring into town, yeah.
Right, okay.
Same as
So
we
any
would,
building, yeah.
yeah, like if they were gonna build a deck, we would charge, a,
Building fee,
yeah.
sure.
Now,
Got it,
we already charge for that.
right.
But you've got these,
Yeah, I know.
Don, what do we
Storage
call
tiny
them?
houses, that's what they're calling a lot of.
oh, God,
And yet we're
no,
living in them.
storage building.
yes, the storage buildings like they build down here.
Yeah,
And they're nice
they are
looking,
nice.
but they need to be regulated.
They do.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I
Anyone
think
else
about
have
the-
questions for Paula?
If I think about the third one, I'll let you know.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else want to address the council? Steve?
Steve Winkler. There's a lot of talk lately about infrastructure, which people usually think is water and pipes and ditches and that sort of thing, but there's another form of infrastructure I think we need to take a look at, and that's the administrative infrastructure. In any organization, there's an administrative, it's kind of like the nerve center of the operation, the brains of the operation, you got the other physical things too. And I'm not going to editorialize or opinionize, but I just want to make some observations about the governance of West Fork and some of the things that I've noticed I've been here about 12 years. One is that we are a type of government here that is what they call the mayor council. We have 8 council members elected. These are all elected. We have elected mayor and we have elected city clerk. All right. The last time we had an election, we had 2 seats that no one stepped up for. Out of the 8, 2. And then they asked for volunteers, and there didn't really a lot of volunteers step up either. So people are getting appointed. People are getting running without opposition. So in a representative democracy, it kind of gets who do you represent if you're being appointed all the time, that sort of thing. The other form of government is a board with a city manager form of government. In that, you have 2 or 3 people for a ceremonial mayor, and you hire a full-time manager, and you don't have to have 8 people going. So that's something to look at. I'll point out that you got to wonder why people aren't getting involved. Well, there could be several reasons. One, this is the only town except for Goshen, I believe, in Washington County that doesn't give a stipend of some sort, $50, $60, $70, $40, and that may be something that people are considering. The other is that you're elected, you have to pay money. Your campaign is for the whole city. You're elected by the city. You live in a ward. The wards are geographical. They don't have anything to do with who you represent. So you're being elected by the whole city as a whole, rather than being elected by wards. You can be elected by wards. The state allows for it. Fayetteville does it. City clerk says, I asked her about it, says certainly they could fix it up like that. In the next election, you could have ward elections. So then a person would be representing the 300 people that live in that ward, 300 or 400. And they would know them closer and better, and there might be better representation. Okay, the other thing is when you changed from treasurer recorder situation, you split that up, and you created because the clerk has to be elected in the state of Arkansas. So we elected clerks that were all we were responsible for mainly was taking the minutes and being a signature on some bonds and such as that. Well, in the 12 years I've been here, there's been 4, and they started out being paid $200 a month. Currently, the clerk is getting $400 a month. But realistically, most of the clerk work is done by the appointed finance director, who's doing clerk duties, filling out forms and dealing with those kinds of things. So, and then there's the mayor things that since I've lived here 12 years, there's not been a mayor that served out a full term, and there's been 4 police chiefs. So you might want to take a look at that kind of turnover, that kind of lack of involvement, and with our city government, maybe there could be some options or things we could do to make it more conducive to people volunteering and getting involved. And I hear all the time people wondering about the leadership in West Fork, and because that's where this is the nerve center here. So that's all I really want to say now. I'm going to be talking about it more, and I'd like to be on the agenda and maybe present some firm proposals that could be done because we're only a year away, and we're 15 months away from the next election. So if the council doesn't see fit to be proactive about this, then I've been involved before with voters. We'll put something. We'll get a group together. We'll put something on the ballot. Okay.
Any questions for Steve?
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Would anyone else like to address? Yes, sir.
I wasn't able to come to last
tell us your
meeting.
name.
My name's Greg Korleski, and I live in town. I live down in Greystone subdivision. It's just a follow-up to 2 months ago when I came about, and what that entailed was I called the police department because Pursley Construction was finishing up their last house, and they basically took all their construction debris and dumped it on another lot. So they developed 4 lots, polluted 5. I called the police department. They sent an officer out, and I had to go somewhere, so I missed that interaction. Then when I got back, I called the police station and talked to the chief. And the chief actually took care of it himself. He went over and he talked to the superintendent for Pursley Construction, and he says, yeah, he's trying to blame it on his subcontractors, and ultimately the general contractors and supersedes all those other guys because they work for him. So he said, well, we'll get a trailer and we'll come out there. Well, it's been over 2 months and they haven't touched anything. And I could have told the chief that he was going to do that because the guy's a slick willie. So just following back up on that, if I say I had a garbage can of stuff and I drove past your guy's house and I just dumped it out on your lawn, I'd get a ticket for, trash or, polluting or whatever. So again, it kind of dovetails to this other young lady that was up here speaking before about inspectors, and I've been in here for the last 2 years about inspectors, and so that's one of the things. And my question for the inspection part is yes, it's required by the state. I mean, you have to have a state license to be doing inspections, and right now your inspections are not following protocol. So you guys are, I would believe, he's not here, but you guys would be liable. So one of the houses is whenever there's a gas appliance, it has to have a metal, I'm not sure what you call it, hood on it outside. Mm-hmm. Well, this house behind me has a rubber one. So eventually that's going to maybe cause a fire. So the inspectors aren't catching this stuff. And the stuff that they're not catching, they cannot give an occupancy without having gas, water, sewer all hooked up. Well, my newest neighbor right next to me lived there for 6 weeks, I think it was, with no gas. So he had no water, no hot water. It was up to him to contact the gas company. That's not the way it goes, So before these occupancy permits get given out, they have to have all these things checked off. So I guess to eliminate the liability thing. I know it is a cost issue, but back in Wisconsin, where I was from, they did a lot to combat it with a lot of these smaller communities. They would go with independent inspectors. Mm-hmm. They have companies that do that, and then they'll hire out, because they're licensed through the state, and they'll hire out right through the community. It's just to protect the people down the road, because most contractors, it's a 1-year warranty on the house. It's not a guarantee, it's a warranty. You hit 12 months and they go out and have a beer and it's all on you then at that point. So, you know, if we want to keep having quality houses built up to standards, you know, we got to kind of head in that direction, so.
And so here, I'll address some of that. My stance on that is, yes, we need inspectors. Our current city staff is in the middle of getting licensed to do all of the inspections. In the past, we've done some. We've used a third party to perform other inspections that we weren't licensed to perform. One of the issues I have with using a third party is usually we want to use a contractor. That's who usually has inspections. Well, the next thing we end up with is one contractor is not happy, another contractor's in his area, and so you've got an issue there. I don't want that. We have perfectly competent individuals in our street department, mainly where it's coming from, the water and sewer department, and they are in the process of getting certified to handle that. Do we have areas that we can grow in there? Absolutely. You know, everything is not perfect yet, but we are moving in that direction.
One more question. Is there a permit on any of those houses? Does Pursley still have a permit?
No, they're all done.
They're all done?
I know 3 of the people are really angry and one has a lawsuit. And then the lawyer that came around and canvassed the neighborhood, there's 17 other lawsuits against this guy. So that's not somebody you want.
People chasing him already.
Oh yeah, that's somebody you don't want in your neighborhood. And that's the other thing that kind of inspectors can kind of, they get word of who's a good contractor, who's not, and who to watch. You know, I mean, it's a networking and it's the life of that industry because most people don't know what's behind the walls, behind the drywall. I mean, things can be hidden and you don't find it, you know, for years. And then it's a problem. It's too late then. You know, once your house is burned down or somebody's dead, it's not, you can't go back and fix later.
Right. And that's also a project that our planning commission is looking to address because, to be quite honest, we don't have some enforcement in place for some of that.
Right. Well, a big hard part for those people is you have to keep your certifications up, so it's a lot of schooling. I mean, it's books, it's schooling, it's seminars. I mean, it's a front end part of it that sometimes doesn't reciprocate back as you know, keeping these people on. So you might have a good guy and then he kind of, you know, leaves for greener pastures, so to say. So I know you guys are working on it. I appreciate it. So I was just kind of following up on the trash thing was one of the main ones.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Tell us who you are.
I'm Jennifer Sims. I'm the chair of the Economic Development and Beautification Committee, and I wanted to make sure that you all saw this that we had at West Fest and tell John and Kira that we had a great time at West Fest. I thought it was a great event, and we appreciate all your efforts in that. And so here's information on the West Fork Memorial. And on the flip side, there's a reminder that we're going to do the Small Town Big Lights Christmas lights contest this year. And then there is a recommended tree list that Jennifer Ogle put together for the Tree City USA. And I just wanted to remind you that if you ever had input, that we're always accepting input from the public and, of course, from you as well. So our meetings are the third Tuesday of every month at 6:30 right here, and we'll be discussing the memorial at 7 o'clock. So, thank you.
Any questions for Jennifer? She didn't give you time for questions. She was, yeah, I know. She said what she had to say. Got it. Would anyone else like to address the council? No? All right, so we'll close our public forum. I'd like to thank everyone for addressing us and bringing those issues and ideas to light. Okay. Oh, absolutely. So we're going to skip our business reports and go straight to Nick and let him come and tell us about this amendment number 2 for engineering services of our sewer project.
Thanks for bumping me up. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've got a 9-year-old playing up there at Mount Kessler Fields. Is in the middle of the game. I said, I'll be back before it's over. So
Absolutely, sir.
I appreciate it. But, brought forward Amendment 2 to our engineering services agreement. I don't know if y'all have had a chance to review it and have any questions, can fill you in on where we are too as well, so can fire away with questions.
Why don't you give us a quick update,
Okay.
and then we'll jump into this and try to get you out of here.
Oh, sure, no problem.
Questions.
All the construction is basically what we call substantially complete. I mean, they finished all the manholes, sewer lines, everything. We've got one process of doing a punch list. Me and Heath from my office and Isaac went out a couple weeks ago and spent about half a day looking, and then Isaac and his folks are going to spend probably through this week looking at more manholes, trying to cover the whole system and make a list for the contractor for them to come out and finish everything up. Then we can close out the contract. But all the pipes are in the ground, manholes are done, and sewer's flowing through the new pipes there in West Fork Acres. Pavement's done out there. Hopefully everyone's happy with that. I know it's dressed up quite a bit more, and you know, I've definitely noticed a difference driving out there. But so we're closing out that phase, and as you know, we're moving into the next part will be, which is part of this amendment, is we're going to get RJN Group out here. Goals down by October 1 to have flow monitors in the ground where they monitored flows 3 years ago, and put in a couple of rain gauges, and hopefully no more than trying to do 2, hopefully no more than 3 months of flow monitoring, so then we can finish up our final report to the ANRC and get approved to move forward with construction of the sewer main to Fayetteville.
So we really haven't had a rain to check to see how much that helped, have we?
No, we have. Well, we've been keeping an eye on it since it's you know, since everything's been installed, because they really got done with the majority of the work a couple months ago, and we're just wrapping up things. And
There was enough rain to see a difference in the I&I.
Yeah,
It made a difference in the system.
A good chance?
we're seeing, we have definitely seen a reduction. But Isaac said we're still seeing a spike in the flow at the plant, but he's saying that as soon as the rain stops, it's coming down very quickly too. Where before it'd be days on end where the ponds are full, you can't. You know, you got to shut the plant down and just try to manage through as best you can. So definitely notice that as a positive there. And they're actively, when it rains now, going out and trying to find if there's some other areas, because it seems like there might be just some direct point source inflows still coming in some areas that there might be a pipe going under a ditch and a hole in it there, and it just getting in there, or clean out capness and from some houses that could be getting in. So they're going to be actively looking as we move forward, and you know, I'd be surprised if the flow monitor didn't show a pretty good reduction in the peak. So it's definitely, they're seeing it, and down there at the plant too. It's a nice change. The pond is not full as much as it was before. I went out there back in July, and it was almost empty, and that's the first time I've ever seen it that dry. So it's definitely been a good change.
Any questions for Nick? Do you know if, did we get the inverted speed bumps? Was that a freebie or?
Yeah, those are on Northwood there.
On Northwood, yes.
Yeah, those are in there. We actually had a overrun on the quantities on the asphalt. I don't know if you're aware of that, if Isaac talked to you, but a pretty significant one that didn't get caught early enough. So we sat down last week with the contractor and us, and worked out a way for the city not to be on the hook, because I don't know if you remember, the ANRC capped that quantity and said anything above that's on the city, and I got the payout from the contractor when I hit the floor, because it was about $32,000 worth of overage. So we sat down and worked it out. McClellan gave a little, contractor gave a little. We figured out how we can make it work out, because we didn't want the city to have to pay for that. That was something, especially with that too, with some of those end product. There's some inverted speed bumps through there, and you know, that's not ideal. So I said, look, let's work this out and make sure everyone's happy at the end. The city's not coming out of pocket any additional money on it. That was the main goal. So.
Any other questions? All right, Nick, let's talk about what you're bringing before us tonight.
This is Amendment 2, and I mentioned it there. The first thing in there is a post-construction flow monitoring. That was, ANRC came in, we're doing a facility plan report for all the alternatives we looked at to select the sewer main to Fayetteville, and they said before they'll approve that, we have to come in when the rehab construction's done, put in flow monitors, and base the sizing and design of our pipes and pump station at Fayetteville off those flows. At this point, I've done it off of a anticipated reduction in I&I based on typical design parameters, but they want the actual numbers. So this is for RJN to come in. They're intending to install 4 meters at the same locations they did in their original study. They'll maintain the meters. They'll come out and check on them every 2 weeks. And then, they're going to monitor them, and Shannon Jones with RJN assured me if we get enough qualifying rain that they have enough data, they'll pull those meters out. We won't get charged anymore for that. So they're able to monitor that and keep up with it. They don't just stick it in, come in 3 months and pull them out and see what happens. They keep up with it to make sure that they're not keeping them in any longer than they need to be. Then they'll put together a report saying what the dry weather flows are, what the infiltration is, and what the inflow is. Very, very similar to their 2014 study. This will just become a supplement to that. So we're required to do that by NRC. And then the other item I put in here was from McClellan Services during construction. The current contract we have had covered construction contract of 180 days, which Davis started in August 2016. So that would have taken us through end of January as far as having enough funding for us to cover our observation and administration services, doing pay apps, submittals, all that. So, with the West Fork Acres amendment, or that we did there, the change order, and the Highway 71, that added more time to the contract, which pushed it a little over a year, and to like 13 months. And I was coming in and asking for another 6 months for 12 months total of construction phase. Didn't want to, that's that 13th month, since it's really just finalizing everything and just not a whole lot of time from our standpoint except final inspections and closeout and all that. So that was the other item I was requesting in this amendment. And in terms of dollar amounts, the flow monitoring, the total amount, if we go a full 3 months of monitoring, would be $39,200. They gave me a price if it's 60 days, it'd be a little under $30,000. So I've pushed back on Shannon. We started out quite a bit higher and told him to go back and sharpen his pencil, and he brought it down quite a bit and said, look, our goal is to get this done as quickly as possible, minimal cost to the city. So that's what we're looking at there. And then on the...
Is that a not to exceed that?
That's a not to exceed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then for the construction phase, it'd be an increase of $51,000 total. We had $51,000 for 6 months. I was asking for another $51,000 to cover our time from February up to now to close out the project. So the total will be $90,200.
Any questions for Nick?
Make a motion, we approve Amendment 2.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor of approving Amendment 2 to this engineering project, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say yes, no. Motion carries.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, so we'll jump back to our business reports and resume.
Thank you.
All right, first report, our planning commission, we have Scott Oliver.
Hello everyone. Haven't addressed the city council in a while, at least the planning commission hasn't. We've been in flux for a while since the last time I came up here and talked to you. We had a few members come and go. I think we're down 2. We're down 3 actually, if we count Dan, correct? Aaron? So we've waited a few meetings to try to figure out how to we lost a lot of our chair, vice chair representation, so we went ahead and, on the mayor's recommendation, to go ahead and address that and assign those duties. I'm now the chair. Walter Harnish is the vice chair, and Steve Winkler is the secretary. What we're going to try to do is create more. We're going to readdress how we meet, how we do things, improve the minutes. Try to work with. Well, the mayor and I have discussed it. Cohesion with the other committees, and try to get a better input from the local community on what we're trying to do. A great example there is what was presented before. She mentioned building codes and ordinances that need to be addressed. A lot of them are woefully out of date. And we're going to try to put on the agenda to address them in a timely manner and attack them and try to modernize them as best we can. We, three of us are going to go do training. It's 3 or 4?
I think it's 4.
4. We're going to go do training provided by the regional planning to do actual planning commission training. When's the last time anybody did that? When it was finally offered, I signed me up. I want to do that. I think it'll be a great idea. Some of us have, Steve's a good example there of doing his research on his own. How does a planning commission supposed to work? So we're going to take good notes and try to present a better product for the city council and the residents of Westwood. I don't have, we didn't have a real good set of minutes. We really didn't have a quorum. So we really didn't have a meeting yet, on our last meeting, but we did put together the chair, vice chair, and secretary. Does anybody have any questions for me? To close, I will be here every meeting for city council to give a brief. Mayor has volunteered a little bit of time every time, so I can update you directly, and you can ask me direct questions. And Steve will always be here, so I can pick on him about those questions. Anything else?
How many members on that team?
We actually, if we're down to 3, we only have 4 members right now. Frankly, that's not quorum, not really. Barely is, if you really, if everybody's there, yeah. So we would like to fill up. We have one. That's actually some more input I could put in. We have one, Miss Kathy Martine that put their application in. We got to address that, and then we would love to get some more submissions for volunteers.
Any questions for Scott?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
Up next, John Riley, librarian.
Good evening. Try to be brief and to the point. I know you've heard that before, but I wanted to update you on one thing that we reported on last month, and that is our children's librarian, our children's programming, which is mainly being done through the county position, the traveling children's librarian, Sherry Rogers, who is retiring. Retirement was actually, she put it off so she can continue to do programs through the fall, which is good for us because we weren't quite ready to replace what she was doing. But anyway, the county board did meet and decided not to replace that position. You know, that was one of the choices. I kind of anticipated that. So what that means for us is that we're going to be giving basically money from the county to help offset the loss of that position for this year, and I don't know, for 2018 that is, and I don't know, I guess continuing on, and that'll be $14,000, which obviously is not enough to hire a full-time person or anything, but that money should be used to hopefully to hire a part-time person who can offer things like story time and other children's programming and services for the library. So, so we certainly have some work to do on thinking about how we want to replace that position that Sherry's been doing. This morning we met and had 41 kids at Storytime, so it's it's a very popular program. We think that if there's one children's programming we want to keep going, it's that pre-K Storytime, because that seems to be a tradition in our library that really performs an important function for the community. So so anyway, that'll be a discussion for us to have, and also to to think about budget-wise as well, how we can replace that position. But that'll be on the agenda certainly for us for the fall to prepare for next year. And then other things, we had once again a successful fundraiser at Westfest with H&R Block in Fayetteville. Carol Baltz has helped really initiate that. She wanted to do something for the community, and she helped raise over $500 last year for the library through the H&R Block booth. And we haven't got the totals this year, but I think it'll be similar this year. They had a book sale, and we donated a lot of VHS tapes. We're trying to get rid of those. And so just from informally being there at the booth, it looked like we were doing pretty well in terms of what we raised. So we appreciate the H&R Block and the Fayetteville office for their support, and you'll hear more about that once we get the totals. And that's about all I have tonight. Any questions
for John? Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Aletta?
I'll show it brief.
Our numbers are up a bit this month, and I'm contributing that solely to vacations in July. There are a couple weeks there, the judge came in and said, oh, we're not going to have court next week, so move all those cases. So those got dumped into August. So you see our arraignment numbers there in August were up considerably from what they normally are. They're about triple what they usually are. So I'm hoping September will calm down. I think we're rolling along pretty good. Anybody have any questions for me? Okay. Thank you.
I have one real quick. So I know we've written an abnormal amount of tickets this summer at the park. Will we be able to see that?
That's reflected in this report, I think, because if you look under the arraignments down here for city, city did $247 or $247 in August, and normally we don't do that many.
And so that was kind of my question. Would that be how far out will it be before we start seeing those people come to court?
Oh, they're already coming.
They're already coming.
Yeah, because they started writing the tickets Memorial Day weekend. So that was, they're coming in June, they're coming July. I still have a few left coming now in August. Most of the ones that are coming now in August are the ones I've sent warning letters out to, telling them they're going to have a warrant if they don't take care of the ticket because they missed their court date. That's something that I do before I issue a warrant. A warrant's pending, but I send a letter telling them this is happening. If you want to take care of it before I issue the warrant and triple the cost of your ticket, come see me now. And it gets a lot of response. People who live close by will be here real quick. And because I tell them it's a parking ticket down there is $100. If they come in and go before the judge, being the judge, he can adjust that amount any way he wants, and normally he'll cut that down some. If they don't come to court at all, it's still $100. If I issue the warrant on it, it becomes $395. So as long as that warrant's not 30 days old, the judge allows me to let them go ahead and pay the underlying cause and not have to pay that warrant fee if they take care of it within the 30 days of it being issued. So that's what the warning letter's about, saying, giving them a heads up, and this is going to happen if you don't take care of this. I try to save trees wherever possible. Warrants take a lot more paper.
Any other questions? Thanks, Paulette.
Thank you.
Chief Nelson?
We are down about 200 calls from last month. We are down on citations. I wish we need warm weather in the park to be open. Let's see, 24 warrant arrests, 1 felony arrest, 10 misdemeanors, 2 property complaints, 1 which I believe the guy just came to talk to you guys about, and we have warned him on the lots on the grass. We've tried to get back with the same contractor, he won't answer. I think we've found out who the actual owner that was financing the contractors are, so our next step will be to go after him. As far as training and that stuff, you guys can look through that. I don't need to read every little page. I did want to point out that Goggins, who's about halfway through the academy, is a squad leader, which I'm proud of that. You know, coming from West Fork, that's good to be one of the leaders of the academy. We are going to start doing business checks, which means we're going to go around the business, our NUT guys are, and they're going to start pulling doors. They have time to do that, they can do that. We'll pull doors, we'll notify them if it's secure or not. We're making little cards, slip it under the door, whatever we have to do, and we'll just pick random businesses each night and do that. So you'll know what time and if it was secure, unsecure, and what we need to do.
I like that.
And then our drunk buster. We got our card in time for West Fest. I don't know who enjoyed it more, the kids or the adults, or the city workers. But we estimated about 150 kids got on that thing at West Fest, probably about 50 adults. We're going to use it at the school. I think the goggles went over well. We had them walk in straight lines, and I think it went good. And I think it's a good tool and good learning. And I want to thank, that was expensive, but the business owners of this town stepped up and took care of every cost except for like $60. So we got that for, thanks to the business owners.
Who drives the pickup our police truck?
That should be Goggins.
Okay, I was pretty sure it was him. I just want to commend him. It was on a Saturday or Sunday. It was a weekend, and I'm sorry, I'm old, so I just since our last meeting, I was coming home coming from Walmart, and he was pulled over on the side of the road helping a young lady change her flat tire. If I'd had enough time to take a picture and not cause the wreck, but I just thought, that made me feel good because he was not in, he's above the airport right before you get on back onto the 71, and he was pulled over helping her change he was basically changing the tire.
Well, good deal.
So I just wanted to commend him for that. I was very proud to see that.
Good. That's what we want.
West Fork logo on the side of that truck.
That's right. That's what we want. So, any questions?
I just knew it wasn't you. So.
No, I'm not.
How did she mean that, John? I'm not sure how you think that.
I just meant,
Because she knows you drive the Durango.
The one with no air conditioning.
That it's someone a little shorter than John is what I think.
Hopefully a little rounder too. All right.
John, thank you. Like I said, I'm really impressed with that new initiative with the businesses. I think that's a great way to build a rapport with the city. So.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our Public Works Director, Isaac Carterson, is not here for Anita to bash tonight.
I'll do that a long time.
So Isaac is out this week. His report was in here. Water loss was down, back down around 18%. And I think his report was from their meeting. Yeah.
And, I have to commend Isaac. I think he's doing a great job.
And I will say that their committee meetings are, there's a lot of substance taking place at those meetings. That committee, they really are looking for future projects, how to better serve the city as they move forward. They're really taking the bull by the horns on that. So
I think
it's a good committee. They're working well.
They've inherited a job, that's for sure.
Any questions about Isaac's report?
I saw here where he said that
y'all want to compile a list of streets, and have they started doing that? And I don't think they have yet. They were talking about trying to establish some criteria for priorities. So how do we determine what street is a priority? And I think that's where they're at. I don't think they have.
About the overlays?
Yes.
Well, that's a good point. I can bring this up now for, I got an email about, I'm sure everybody else did, but I wanted the James Place Road, and I wanted to just make sure, I'm sure that, I knew there were probably criteria that we were following, and I understand, because right now my little White Chat Road, everything, you can write your name, on everything, and that should be a priority for us to look at projects like that and do overlays. So, I'm hearing you, so. Yeah.
Well, and it was James Place, I think, that initiated the discussion.
Right.
As far as an order of merit list and how to determine what gets service and what amount and how they allocate resources. So that's what pushed it off the ledge.
10 foot a year.
I'm sorry.
I said at least 10 foot a year.
Start.
Yeah.
10 foot more we got.
I really think that's a neat project to have, is to look at what, every year, whatever is first priority, do that. I mean, it's...
Well, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. I mean,
Right.
you can partial and prioritize and shift money around and try to see how we can
Because
find money.
We've got some
State.
places that are building up more houses that were just little one or two. It was a little more like a drive. Now they've become city, streets. So,
That's kind of the situation we're in.
Yeah.
Well, that's the downside of development. It's great to have businesses and houses, but every new thing requires infrastructure. It's a double-edged sword.
Any other discussion? Public Works, while we're there? Okay. Chad?
I did fill my open position for my parks employee recently due to Carl leaving, and y'all probably know her. I was able to hire Sarah Sagely. She grew up in this area, graduated from West Fork. She's also a college graduate. She's been with me for a couple weeks now. She's working hard. I think she's going to bring a lot to the department. She's got a lot to learn, but I think she'll be a real asset to the department and the city. So really happy about that. A couple of projects we've been working on. We were able to do some upgrades to our tennis and basketball courts. Our basketball court was in real bad shape, and it gets a lot of use down there. And we resurfaced it, and on our tennis courts we were able to fill the cracks and just reseal it, which saved us quite a bit of money. We're looking at doing some upgrades to the fencing around it as well. So I don't know if we'll be able to do that on this year's budget or if we'll have to put it on next year. When we get that done, that area of the park down there at Carter will really look a lot better and be a lot more usable. We're also looking at going to have to do something with our parking lot. It's got some cracks, and it's been several years since anything's been done to it. We're looking at doing some upgrades to our concession and bathroom area also. Some of those are cosmetic, and then some of them will also help make it a little bit more energy and cost efficient too. Some of the ideas we're looking at. So those are some of the things we're working on. I still have the committee is still looking for a member, so we have a meeting Monday night to discuss that further. And then our football program is underway. We had our first Pee Wee games Saturday, and flag will start next Tuesday. So that's getting rolling. We've been practicing for about 6 weeks, so the kids are ready to start playing. So that's going well. So, and then something that Jennifer didn't mention that the beautification committee's working on and has been working on for quite some time is the Welcome to West Fork sign, and we did get our permit from the state to go ahead and be able to put our sign on the state right of way up there. So we met up there and kind of ballparked the exact, I don't know if you can ballpark the exact spot, but close to where we want to put it and everything. And then with the help of Isaac and his department, we should start seeing some work on that hopefully within the next week or so. So hopefully, once we get going, that won't take very long. So we should have a new sign up there by next month's meeting, maybe, if all goes well. So, but the beautification committee has done some good things, and that's one of them. And they've got some great projects going on. And Jennifer did a good job with the flyer and the brochure for West Fest. So, that's about it. I want to thank the West Fest committee also, because I think they did a good job. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of work goes into that and getting it ready. So.
And we want to thank you for all your help. And Danny Moore.
Yes.
He was a big help.
But I thought it went well. And so I want to thank them, and that's about all I have.
Any questions for Chad? Anita, anything for Chad? Okay. All right. Saving it for Mark. Chief Myers?
Well, you've probably all seen Travis back to work. Back to the doctor today, got his brace taken off. Doesn't mean he's well, so if you see him, don't walk up and grab him, please. He may have to be off again, so please be mindful of that. Training tower showed up on the news. I don't know if I all got a chance to see it. It must have been a really slow news day. But it looks great. You guys ought to, if you get a chance, stop by and take a look at it, and I'll show you around. But did fabulous with the pancake breakfast. It turned out great. I want to thank everybody that showed up to eat, help, do. We put Katie Griffin in charge of it, and we either going to let her sink or swim, and she did great with it.
Thank you all for doing it.
She did great. So I want to thank everybody that showed up and helped and came and paid to eat. And
There's about 300.
Was it?
I think it's pretty real close to 350, somewhere like that. So it was fabulous. For the first time that we've done that. It far superseded what we've done with the chili supper. Yeah. So hopefully it's something we can continue every year. That's all I've got. Would y'all have any questions?
Any questions for the Chief? Thanks, sir. Christie?
I don't really have anything to add as far as the budget numbers go. I did underline some line items that are getting close, but the department heads are watching those very closely. So if they get to the point where they're going to go over, they'll come to you guys hopefully before that happens, not after, but they are watching it very closely. But I just highlighted them so you could kind of see the ones that we are watching. Other than that, we have scheduled the fall cleanup. It'll be October 20th and 21st from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. down at the city shop again. All the departments have started working on our budgets. We've met one time, going back to the drawing board, getting some more, kind of after we looked at where we were going to be, went back and looking at some other things that we can cut and move around. Hopefully by the October meeting, we'll be ready to schedule a budget workshop with you guys to go over those numbers. And this coming week, I'm hoping to have a meeting with Baldwin and Shell, Mayor and Isaac and I, about where they have landed with their initial cost estimates and how they want to proceed with bidding the City Works building out. So that's where they're at on that. That's all I have.
Any questions for Christie?
I just want to say thanks to Amanda. You're a big help to me with West Fest.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
And so hang on, while you're there. One quick thing. You were close. She was. And I think this goes unnoted. It was certainly unknown to me. But Christie, how long have you been in this job?
I started this position in 2008.
2008. So we're getting close to 10 years. But I didn't know this. Christie is the go-to city treasurer in what? Washington County? Benton County? In the area? Mm-hmm. How big of an area is it?
The state.
The state?
Yes. She'll never admit it, but yes.
So if another city loses their treasurer, or if they have an issue that they're having trouble with how to handle the accounting, our very own Christie Dryman is who is contacted for that.
Good job.
That's huge, Christie, and I want you to know that it's appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't say anything bad about Christie.
Anita cuts them down, I try to build them up. We'll let you forget it after this meeting. Okay? All right, so we'll move into our new business. Our only remaining item of new business is a resolution with the school. John, you want to address this?
This is the contract that I think we talked about the last meeting a little bit. It's the one, instead of going 75-25 to go 50-50, which is going to allow us to use the school resource officer during emergency calls and other times. It's a pretty basic contract. It's sort of what Greenland's using. It just keeps it open-ended, but it allows us more time with him, but his priority is still the school. It went before the school board yesterday. They voted on it.
They jumped on it?
They jumped on it. They all went for it, of course.
Yeah.
They like that deal. It's going to cost us a little bit more money, but I'm hoping in return for that, we get a little bit more activity out of that. And hopefully that'll offset it. So that's what I'm looking at, and you guys have any questions about it?
Self-explanatory.
It's a very standard.
So one question, in your minutes, you didn't address this, but you're wanting to start doing some active shooter training in the school. Is that going to be in conjunction with this? Is that totally separate? How's that?
No, yeah, it's Alice training is what it is. And that, we had that scheduled for Cabot, and they just canceled Cabot. So now we have it scheduled for Springfield, Missouri. It's Train the Trainer. It's Alice. You go to it. Then that allows you to train school officials, students, and those things. We need an officer in that program. I believe to teach that program, you need to have taken that program. You have to be certified.
Yes.
I don't believe that's done everywhere, but I want it to be done here, and I want to have enough guys certified in it where we can teach the schools. And I want to keep on doing the training that I know your husband took part in that last year. I want to do the training at the schools, hands-on. When school's out of session, I want them clearing buildings. They do different types of scenarios and just learn how to work together and learning the layout of the school. I had an officer tell me the other day, I've been here 3 years and I've never been in the middle school. Well, that's got to change. You need to go to middle school. And we need to learn it. So that's what we're working towards.
It's fabulous. I think we seriously need that.
Yes.
It's scary, but it needs to be done.
Do you want to make a motion to
I will.
deal with resolution 2777?
Who seconded it?
Dawn.
John.
Motion is second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. Thanks, John. So we don't have any old business. I do have a few comments. First, and this isn't listed, but I would like to do I appoint Kathy to the planning commission? Does the city council approve those? I think
Go
so.
back and read for
Yeah,
sure.
I haven't read it since the last time we did that.
Yeah, you appoint and they approve.
Yes.
The planning commission has no say in it. You
Right.
appoint, they approve, the
Yeah.
council approves.
So I would like to appoint Kathy Martine to the planning commission. Would you guys approve that? Go ahead.
I'll
Make a motion. Second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed say no. Motion carries. So we'll add Kathy to the planning commission. Chad mentioned the welcome sign. That's going to be really nice once that gets put in place. So be watching for that construction taking place up on the hill.
Mayor, is Kathy's last name Martine?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have one here. I gave an update yesterday. I had a good time with that. To the West Fork Golden Agers. I don't know if you guys know any of those. You have to be pretty old to get in that club.
I was busy. Now guess who's picking on
So-
I was brave to say that.
So I went up there and met with them. I brought them one of the flyers that Jennifer Sims had printed up for West Fest. I thought it was a great opportunity to introduce the memorial opportunities to them. And we talked about, I'm telling you what, and I told them this, we don't get large crowds here at City Hall, and they had 12 there yesterday. But I'm telling you, the citizens of West Fork, they know what's going on. I told them, I said, I felt like I've just taken a test, and I probably flunked it. But they had a lot of questions, a lot of input, a lot of great ideas. So it was a good time.
A lot of wisdom there.
There is, absolutely. So that was a good meeting. I felt like it was a good opportunity to, one of their concerns is how are we going to, what upgrades, are we going to make to the community center? They're probably the heaviest users of our community center, some of our senior citizens in town. So we've got some good input there, some ideas. I also wanted to push council members. We're starting a new year. As Christy said, we'll be sitting down to begin the budgeting process. I'd like you guys to be thinking of some ideas, some projects that, as a council, we need to pursue in the coming year. As we start the budgeting process, that's always, a good time to be throwing those ideas out there. So please be thinking of that between now and, what do you think, Christy? Another month, sometime in October when we'll be ready for that. So it gives everyone a little bit of time to come up with something, push the city forward. John, would you or Kara give us a short update on West Fest? I know it just happened. You probably don't have numbers together, but
well, the attendance was down. I think that was due to the home Razorback game being the first game. But the way they played, they probably won't go to the next one. So, but the numbers, we more or less broke even. We will be donating $500 to West Fork Shop of the Cop, $500 to Greenland Shop of the Cop, and then $500 to the American Cancer Society. So we did get enough money to do that by breaking even. So had a good time. Nobody got hurt.
We're hoping to try and do something maybe November, December. It's not official. We haven't, but more a community. Something hopefully mostly free for the community to come do.
We're thinking about a movie night.
Yeah.
So something free for the community.
That'd be cool.
So that's what's all about. Steve, you did a little better Saturday.
A little better what?
With your cafe. I mean, we brought some people in, brought business in.
It was a lot of activity on the street.
I mean, that's what we're trying to do, and it wasn't near as busy as it was. So.
Okay. So that's good. The last thing I'll mention, the Recycle Center. We've been in talks with Inland and Boston Mountain. What is it, Boston Mountain? Solid Waste. To start trying to cut back on some of the hauling and whatnot of the recycles over there. We're also looking to, and we're talking to Lori. Lori's helping put this together. Lori's ready for some Saturday breaks. She hasn't had a Saturday in quite a while. So what we're hoping to be able to do is close the recycle center on Saturdays, but have it open through the week. Now with that, people are going to have to do their own sorting. They're not going to have Lori holding their hand every time they come. But
they do it in Fayetteville all the time.
That's right. And
Joy recyclers can sort those.
So, like I said, Lori's ready for this. She's assisting in the process. She's going to help do some training over there to get people aware of what changes are happening. Isaac and his guys are probably going to open it up 8 in the morning. The chief said someone could go by and close it, say 6 o'clock or something in the evening, so it gives people time to get home and get there if they need to. So we'll have it open more hours, but probably not manned. So, and like I said, Inland's gonna help with hauling that, so we're not gonna have city employees pulling those trailers back and forth a couple times a week. And first line item on your budget there is the fuel, and that's why that was getting so high, is due to that. So,
That's a good idea.
anyway, if you hear anything from anyone,
Have you noticed a drop, or has anyone noticed a drop since they've been doing curbside service, recycling service?
that's a good question, and I've asked Isaac to get those numbers. We pulled the numbers out of it before we started curbside recycling, just to see how much they were doing and see what kind of a change there was. I was down there a couple Saturdays ago, and the place is hopping. Now, most of those people I saw there were not citizens. You know,
Right.
we're pulling a lot of the county in from that. But I'm hoping to get some numbers from Inland and from there, and to see how much we have increased our tonnage of recyclable materials since we've added curbside. But I think it's still very busy down there.
Yeah, we probably do pull a lot of people outside the city limits down.
I can't quote numbers, but we did get all those in. Isaac's got them written down. The recycling center numbers have dropped a small amount, but what Inland is picking up is increased the overall number by quite a bit. So I think Inland, if I don't quote me, but I think they were saying that they had picked up like 21.8 I'm going to mess up. I'm not going to say a number. Anyway, they have picked up quite a bit, and it has actually increased the overall recycling for the city of Westport.
Curbside recycling.
So I'm sure Isaac will have some numbers for us at our next meeting.
I just need a smaller trash can. I fell in my big one the other day.
Call John, he'll come help you.
I can't reach down there, and I got a little too far in, and it's a good thing it fell over.
All right, guys, that's all I had. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor say yes. Yes. Thank you, guys.